Send to the phone, GOP political strategist and co-founder of MustReadTexas.com, Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Chad. I'm doing great. Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for coming on today. Between all your appearances on the BBC and Fox News, you're all over the place, man. A lot of people interested in the political world. Hey, let's talk about a story that I think it'll get more pub today. Land Commissioner George P. Bush, he's the first member of the Bush family, at least that I can remember, that has actually sort of embraced Donald Trump. He didn't give a full-throated endorsement, but he urged support for Donald Trump. Were you surprised by this? And, it's why would George P. Bush kind of go out and go against the rest of his family and urge support for Donald Trump?
Yeah, I wasn't really all that surprised. And the reason for that is he's in a different position than any other member of the Bush family. He was asked late last year, by the Texas Republican Party, by the state party, to serve as their victory chairman for this cycle. Every 2 years, we have a victory chairman that takes on responsibility for raising over $1 million for the victory effort, which is the coordinated Republican Party's effort to elect candidates up and down ballot. And they focus almost exclusively on the most competitive races, and those are federal and state races. And so he agreed to be the chairman. He's trying to raise over $1.4 million years ago. And so it doesn't make any sense to have our state victory chairman, refuse to support the entire ticket that he's raising money for and putting a field effort together to help elect. So an executive committee meeting over the weekend, making a pitch to the SREC, updating them on the efforts for the victory committee that he's running, and he just said, "Look, we need to elect Republicans up and down ballot," and that was the extent of it. Do I think he's going to be a big surrogate for Trump or anything like that? No, but this is what he felt he had to do. He has a duty to the state GOP, and I honestly sort of respect him for understanding the duty that he has for the job that he accepted for this 2 years to help the state party. This is not what he wants to do, but it is what he chose to do.
I'm visiting with Matt Mackowiak. Matt, this time last week, we were talking about Trump being very off message, not endorsing Paul Ryan, tweeting out a thank you towards Paul Ryan's challenger in the primary in Wisconsin. On Friday, Trump reversed course. He endorsed Paul Ryan. He endorsed John McCain. He sounded like a Mr. Party Unity all of a sudden, and today he has a big policy speech planned. Is this and we've talked about this before about the pivot? Do you think people actually knocked some sense into Donald Trump? What do you think happened here at the end of last week?
Yeah, look, Donald Trump had the worst week I can ever remember a major party nominee for president having. He, going into the conventions 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, he was about 3 or 4 points down to Hillary. Coming out of it, she's doubled her lead to 7 or 8 points. Every single battleground state that anyone is paying attention to has moved away from him in the last 3 weeks. And now we're in the middle of a dead period with the Olympics going on for the next, 16 or 17 days, where it's going to be hard to break through. And so, his timing was really poor. You do raise the right question because, I do think Friday represented a change in direction. Now, the big question is, can he stick with it? The campaign was pretty quiet over the weekend, and my hope is they will let his economic speech speak for them today. If he goes on O'Reilly or Greta or does other stuff on the radio or things, it's going to take away from the message that they've developed on the economy, which is not just going to be tax reform. It's broader than that. It'll be about regulation and Obamacare and trade and energy development. So I think this will probably be a pretty good economic speech. And my hope is they really let it drive the news for the rest of the week, and they try to build on it. We'll see. Look, he obviously doesn't have a lot of self-control and a lot of discipline. But I also think he doesn't want to get blown out by Hillary and have that be the first paragraph of his obituary in the New York Times whenever he passes from this earth. So it could be that he finally pays attention to serious people that are around him that are polling battleground states and polling nationally, and because his numbers took an absolute nosedive this week, and it was the cumulative weight of all the controversies over the last 10 days.
With the endorsement of Paul Ryan, how do you think Trump supporters, those who were with the guy from day one, who and I've heard from some of the Trump supporters, who liked him from day one, that they liked that he was shaking things up, that he was going to go after even the Republicans in the party. I think it's good that he's aiming for the party unity right now. Is there any risk in Trump angering some of his own supporters by siding with John McCain and siding with Paul Ryan?
There doesn't appear to be that risk. I mean, his most ardent supporters, they never see anything wrong in anything Trump does. If the Gold Star family attack, well, that just meant they needed to dig into Khan's background, which is what they did. They dug into the background of his law firm and questioned whether he practices Sharia law and all this. It doesn't matter what it is. Every controversy, they take his side, and so it does raise the question. Can he never be wrong? I mean, really, is that really the standard? I mean, that is sort of, that's not a real standard for evaluating whether someone is correct. It's definitely a little bit of an appeal he has to his support base that is entirely based on his personality and not based on the things he says, the things he believes, his vision for the country. So I'm glad he took that step. It does seem no good Republican Party, which is basically something he's been doing for months. The better the party does down ballot, the better he'll do, and the better he does, the better the party will do down ballot. So, this is a shotgun marriage, and they need to try to get through this next 90 days the best they can.
Matt, what can people find on mustreadtexas.com today and throughout the week?
Yeah, just starting to update it. Obviously, the George P. Bush news, which broke late last night, is all over the place nationally, and we'll post that, and you'll have the access to the video of the remarks that he made. I also have my biweekly Austin American Statesman column, where I detail what the path to victory is for Donald Trump to 270 electoral votes. It's very, very narrow. It's very uphill, but it does exist. You can find all that, the best news, opinion, and blog items from around the state of Texas at mustreadtexas.com.
All right, Matt, as always, appreciate your time, and we'll let you get on to the BBC or Fox News now.
Take care.
Have a good one. It's Matt Mackowiak, GOP political strategist. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about George P. Bush's endorsement. Surprising. I still think it surprises some people when you have a Bush urging support of Donald Trump. I don't know if he exactly had to use that language, but we'll talk about that. See if George P. Bush also may be helping himself out politically in the future.